plainclothes police officers in New York ganged up on a young woman and dragged her into an unmarked vehicle. This was a video that went viral last night. It drew attention by a number of elected officials, including Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jerry Nadler. And so the cops are part of the NYPD warrant squad. These are not federal agents. I want to be clear about that. But the footage is highly disturbing, especially when you consider the number of cops who gang up on her and drag her into an unmarked car. And also think about the fear and terror someone would feel if plainclothes cops, you don't know if they're cops, are dragging someone into an unmarked car. You don't know who they are, you don't know what they're doing, and it's terrifying. So I'm gonna toss to the footage and I'll give you more details when we come back. So to give you some more context, in the footage, multiple men can be seen grabbing 18-year-old Nikki Stone, who was among several other protesters leading a larger group of demonstrators participating in a 24-hour protest. Stone was among 12 people who were arrested, according to the New York Police Department. Now, the NYPD claims that Stone was damaging police cameras in 5 separate criminal incidents. She wasn't doing anything questionable when they decided to arrest her. And the way that they arrested her is clearly a problem here because again, they're plainclothes cops dragging her into an unmarked car. The cops then complained about protesters, going after them, throwing rocks at them because of the fact that they were trying to arrest Nikki Stone. But the protesters don't know who these people are. You get what I'm saying? I mean, if you're protesting with your friends, if you're protesting with your fellow citizens who actually care about changing society for the better, and you see random men, several of them, dragging your friend into a vehicle that's unmarked, yeah, you're gonna wanna defend her because you don't know who they are, especially when you consider some of these right wingers who show up to the protests to provoke people and to cause problems.
Yeah, I guess I'm surprised that no, militia or white supremacist group has done this yet. Just kidnap a protester. They hate the protesters. They want to get back at them. This has provided cover where now plausibly some people, might not intervene fully. Like you have people who are sort of just watching because now we've seen this going on for literally weeks. And some people will assume, okay, well, this is obviously terrifying. This is American fascism. This is, all of that, but it happens. And so what are you supposed to do? Like if I'm walking down the street and a minivan, a Kia pulls up and 4 people jump out and try to drag me in there, should I fight back? What if I fight back and it ends up being a cop? I mean, there's no way of knowing generally, but what if I were to fight back and find out it was a cop? I could face far worse charges than whatever they would have made up in the first place. Think about the position that it's putting on people. It's this assumption that you are guilty, and if you do literally anything to question the insane tactics they're using, then in their eyes, you will be. You will be guilty, and God only knows what'll happen to you then.
Yeah, also what blows my mind is, so they're accusing her of damaging police property, specifically police cameras. So they're not accusing her of posing as any type of imminent threat to anyone. She hasn't assaulted anyone, but the accusation is that she damaged property. Why do you need plainclothes cops to drag her, by the way, multiple plainclothes cops to drag an 18-year-old woman into an unmarked vehicle? Why is that the way they've decided to arrest her? And it's a form of intimidation. If you're a protester, if you're out there protesting and you see that happen to someone, you might think twice about protesting. I think it's a form of intimidation. I think it was purposely done to send a message. Those are my thoughts on this.
Do you think, look, obviously we've been rightfully critical of the NYPD for a very long time. Is this just the NYPD being the NYPD? Or is this them learning from troops, National Goon Squad? that they've started doing this, and Trump's totally fine with it. Barr's not going to do anything. Is that the NYPD thinking, oh, this is something we can do? Okay, well then let's just dispense with whatever pretend police stuff we were doing before, and now we're just dragging people away. We can just do that, and we can brutalize them. We can be as rough as we want, and we don't have to identify ourselves. We don't even have to dress as cops anymore. We can jump in any car we want. Is that them learning from what they've seen in Portland and other cities?
The fish rots from the head down. So I definitely do see this as something that it's been given a green light by the feds. There's no question about it. If you know that you can treat people this way and you can violate their constitutional rights this way, then yeah, why wouldn't you do it, right? I mean, if the federal government isn't going to, if the federal government is doing it, I have no doubt that local police departments see it and think that it would be okay for them to do it as well. I mean, it's amazing, John, because a month ago, there was a woman in our neighborhood who clearly she's homeless, she clearly has mental health issues, but she was going around and physically assaulting people. I was out with my husband and she came up to me, she spit on me and she threw her fountain drink at me, right? But I didn't call the cops or anything because are cops really gonna do anything that's gonna make this situation better? I let it go. The next morning I find out that she assaulted a pregnant woman. She hit a pregnant woman at a Starbucks nearby. And so people called the cops and the cops found her, but they decided that they would not arrest her because they did not witness her committing the crime or she wasn't in the middle of committing the crime. And it's just amazing to me how in this case, this young woman is accused of damaging property and they drag her into an unmarked car the way that we just saw. It blows my mind and it's absolutely wrong. Luckily, we do have some elected politicians who have chimed in on this, including Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who said via Twitter, our civil liberties are on brink. This is not a drill. This is no excuse for snatching women off the street and throwing them into unmarked vans. To not protect our rights is to give them away. It is our responsibility to resist authoritarianism. But unfortunately, Mayor Bill de Blasio, the guy who had all this tough talk when it came to cops when he was running for mayor, had his own thoughts on this. Let's take a look.
I think it was the wrong time and the wrong place to effectuate that arrest. The arrest, as I understand it so far, was for damaging police property. I want to affirm very clearly, no one is allowed to damage police property. That is a real offense. That is an offense that can lead to an arrest. And my message to everyone, if you're out there protesting, protest peacefully.
That was an incredibly embarrassing statement. That's my take on it.
I hadn't actually seen that. We talked about this video on the Damage Report this morning. At that point he had avoided commenting on it. And I really hope that there was a lot more to that, because if his issue with what we saw was the time and place it happened, as if if it was a few blocks away or later in the day, it could somehow be okay. And it clearly, no, we have an issue with what they did. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter when. Why did they do that particular thing? They're police, it's NYPD. Like that's about as big as it gets. They have all the resources in the world. They're like a small military. They can't send actual cops if they have the evidence. And if she actually did it, then they can arrest her the way they arrest anyone. Like, are you ever gonna see, like a Wall Street banker who's committed fraud, just like, a Benz pulls up and they grab him into the car or anything like that? That would never happen. So why is it justified in this case for a far lighter offense? It doesn't make any sense. He's got some good positions on some of the issues historically, but generally he is way too deferential to the people with power in New York, and the NYPD is definitely way up there.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.